Nigeria finished the group stage with a perfect record, capping it off by smashing 3 past Uganda in the final game. From Eric Chelle bold squad overhaul to Onyedika midfield masterclass, the rise of Chukwueze and a centre-back pairing that makes sense. So let's break it down and discuss the 5 things we learned from Uganda 1, Nigeria 1. But before we dive into this video, if you are new here, welcome to the channel. If you have been following me for a while, you know the drills. Help your boy get to that 10k subscriber mark. Let's dive into it. This felt like more than just a win. It was a statement. Nigeria didn't just qualify, we showed depth, hunger, and a real tournament spine. This wasn't about one performance or one standout name. It was about the squad that understands each role and rises its level when called upon. So starting with the first thing we learned, the squad depth is real. If there was ever any doubt, this game killed it stone dead. Nigeria are no longer a team built around a single starting 11. We are a squad now, and that distinction matters. Eric Chelle didn't rotate lightly. He made 9 changes from the previous match. Not cosmetic tweak, a wholesale rotation. Francis Uzoho in goal, Ryan Arobosu, Kevin Bassey, Igogbu, Bruno Emecha at the backline. A midfield of Raphael Onyedika, Fisayo Delebashuru, Samuel Chukwueze, and Moses Simon. Up top, Victor Moses and Paul Onacho. On paper, this could have looked disjointed. In reality, we controlled the game. And that's the key point. Control, not just the scoreline. Finished with 72% ball possession, 13 shots, 5 big chances created. That's not a team surviving rotation. That's a team imposing structure. Now let's zoom on what really matters here. Delebashuru didn't just play. He made a statement. This wasn't a he did okay performance. This was a claim your shot performance. He finished with a 7.2 rating, 1 assist, 1 big chance created, 1 key pass, 92% pass accuracy, 1 shot. But numbers only tell half of the story. What stood out for me was how he played. He understood his role immediately. He didn't slow the game down. He didn't hide. He didn't overcomplicate things. He moved the ball quickly, found pockets, and he gave us verticality from midfield. That wasn't luck. That's coaching and clarity. This is what a real squad depth looks like. Depth is not about having many names. It showed up in 3 concrete ways, and we saw them all. And first, quality without disruption. When players come in and the team reading doesn't collapse, that tells you roles are clearly defined. Fringe players step in and tempo stays high. That's massive for tournament football. One injury doesn't feel like a disaster. And secondly, genuine competition. Nobody's shirt is safe anymore, and that's a good thing. Even starters know there is someone behind them who can step in and perform. That tension rising standards in training and sharpens performance on match day. They aren't bench runners, they are real challengers. And third, tactical flexibility. With profiles like this, you can change game mid-match. You can go wider, you can play direct with a target man, you can dominate midfield or stretch the pitch. And crucially, we can do it without losing balance. Why this matters long term? In tournament football, AFCON, qualifiers, and even World Cup cycles, depth isn't optional. We are dealing with a tight schedule, traveling fatigue, knocks, suspension, with shallow team fields. The deep squad survives and grows into the tournament. What I saw against Uganda wasn't just rotation. It was a system holding up under pressure. And that's how you know we are moving in the right direction. But moving on to the second thing we learned, the boys showed real hunger. What stood out to me was this. This wasn't a complacent, job-done performance. Qualification already secured, rotation in squad. That's usually where intensity dropped. Instead, what we saw was the opposite. The tempo was high. Second balls were contested aggressively. And the press had bites. That tells you everything about this group's mindset. They play like a team that still feels it has something to prove. Individual didn't just coast, they stepped up. Take Paul Onacho. This is a player often labeled as situational, someone you can bring in when you need a plan B. He didn't play like a backup here. He played like a striker demanding relevance. He finished with a 7.1 rating, 1 goal, 3 shots, 2 on target. What impressed me wasn't the goal, it was his intent. He attacked crosses, he fought centre-backs, he made himself available consistently. That's hunger. He wasn't waiting for the game to come to him. He went and grabbed it. Then there is Moses Simon, another player who could easily dial it down in a game like this. He didn't. He finished with a 7.1 rating, 2 key passes, 3 accurate crosses, 91% pass accuracy, 59 touches, 4 successful dribbles, 2 shots, 1 on target. Simon worked both sides of the ball. He tracked back, he drove at defenders, and he kept asking questions in the final third. That's not someone protecting energy, that's someone pushing standards. The collective mentality was clear. the hunger showed up in 3 different ways. First, relentless work rates. From the opening minutes to the final whistle, we pressed high, chased loose balls, and took responsibility in duels. Even with the game under control, players didn't switch off. That's the kind of attitude that wins knockout games when the margins are thin. And second, accountability across the pitch. Nobody hit. Midfielders demanded the ball, forward track runners, defenders stepped up aggressively. When everyone feels responsible, performance level rises naturally. Third, psychological edge. This is underrated, but it matters. When opponents knows Nigeria doesn't take nights off, even when qualification is already secure, it plants doubt before kickoff. That mental reputation can tilt matches in our favor before a ball is kicked. And why this hunger matters? Hungry players train harder. Hungry squad raises internal standard, and hungry team forces mistake out of opponents. What I saw against Uganda was a team that refuses to coast. No entitlement, no comfort zone, just players fighting to stay relevant and prove they belong. And honestly, that hunger is the heartbeat of this team. But moving on to the third thing we learned, respect Raphael Onyedika. I don't think we have talked about Raphael Onyedika enough, and after this performance, we have no more excuses. This wasn't just a good game, this was a midfield masterclass built on balance. The graft, the brain, the hard work and the intelligence. We finished with a ridiculous start line. A 9.4 rating, 2 goals, 97% pass accuracy, 2 shots, 2 on target, 6 recoveries, 3 defensive contribution, 1 tackle, 1 clearance, 1 shot block, 1 ground duel won. But the numbers only confirm what the eyes already saw. They controlled the game. This was about control, not chaos. What impressed me most was his understanding of tempo. Onyedika didn't play every pass at 100 miles per hour. He didn't slow the game down unnecessarily either. He picked his moments. When we needed to settle, he recycled possession calmly. When Ugandans stepped up, he accelerated play and punched through their line. That's midfield IQ. That's the difference between someone who plays midfield and someone who runs it. The defensive intelligence matters as well. This wasn't a flashy destroyer performance, it was a disciplined one. He covered passing lane, bred dangers early, made timely recoveries that stopped counters before they started. Because of his positioning, our fullback could push higher without being exposed in transition. That kind of balance don't always make highlight reels, but coaches love it because it wins you game. Progression with purpose. What I like most is that he didn't hide behind safe passes. Onyedika looked forward. He broke the line with passes, carried the ball into spaces when it opened up, and made intelligent run that dragged defenders out of shape. That created room for our wingers and gave Osimhen and Onuachu better service. Uganda tried to crowd the midfield in spells, hoping to force errors, but Onyedika didn't blink. He stayed calm, protected the ball, kept our structure intact, no panic turnovers, no rush decision, just clarity. That composure is contagious. When your pivot is calm, the whole team breathes easier. What this means going forward, if Onyedika delivers this level consistently, he stops being a squad option. He becomes something more important, a tactical fulcrum. Every serious international side have a midfielder like this. Someone who can protect the backline, dictate rhythm, and still contribute offensively when needed. After this performance, it's no longer a debate. We need to respect Raphael Onyedika. But moving on to the fourth thing we learned, a perfect centre-back pairing. Watching Igboegbu and Kevin Bassey in the first half genuinely felt like a lesson on how modern centre-back partnership should work. No two identical defenders, no two chaos merchants, but two profiles that complement each other. Bassey finished his 45 minutes with a 6.9 rating, 3 defensive contributions, 2 clearance, 2 recoveries, 1 ground duel won, 3 area duel won. Alongside him, Igboegbu delivered a 7.0 rating, 4 defensive contributions, 1 tackle, 1 interception, 2 clearance, 3 recoveries, 1 ground duel won, 2 area duel won. Again, the numbers support what the eyes already saw. Balance, complementary strength, not duplication. This is the first thing that stood out to me. Igboegbu reached danger early, he stepped up, anticipated passes, kill situation before they escalate. Bassey on the other hand is comfortable dealing with physical duel, area battle, and tight defensive moments. That blend matters. It allows us to hold a higher line without panic and defend in transition without scrambling. 1 steps, 1 covers, simple and effective. What impressed me most wasn't the tackles, it was the talking. We could see a clear communication to when to squeeze up, when to drop, when to take responsibility in defensive transition. Uganda struggled to find clean through balls because spacing between them was controlled. Both centre-backs were comfortable on the ball. Short passes into midfield were crisp, and when they went long, it was measured. Balls that actually reached target instead of handing possession back. That ability to move quickly from defense into attack helps us control games rather than just survive them. They didn't just defend, they imposed themselves. Uganda attackers failed them early. Duels were contested aggressively, space was squeezed, and there is no sense of panic. That kind of presence becomes invaluable when game tightens and pressure increases in knockout football. But now, the necessary caveats, and I'll be fair here. The real test is sustaining that level for 90 minutes and doing it against top quality attackers who punish small lapses. That's where partnership are truly defined. But based on what we saw, this pairing gave the coach something important: a reliable defensive base. And in tournament football, that's the battle half won. And that brings me to the 5th thing we learned. Chukwueze is cooking. This wasn't one of those performances where Chukwueze gave us nice dribble and disappeared. This was a sustained influence from start to finish. He finished with a 7.9 rating, 2 assists, 2 big chances created, 5 key passes, 95% passing accuracy, 1 accurate cross, 2 shots. That's not flair football, that's production. When a winger hits map stretch the touchline into half spaces, his action consistently led to chances. That's when you confidently say a player is cooking. Chukwueze constantly isolated his fullbacks and won those duels. He beat defenders, created overload, forced Uganda to commit extra body to his side. That's a knock-on effect. Fullback gets space to overlap. Midfield find pockets. Strikers get better service. And this is how wide players stretch defense without touching the ball every second. The end product is catching up, and that's the most encouraging part for me. For years, the criticism has been the same: great dribbler, inconsistent output. In this game, that argument didn't stand. The assist was clean, the key passes were well timed. The decision making in the final third was sharp. He wasn't dribbling for applause, he was creating danger. What separates this performance from earlier version of Chukwueze was his movement. He made diagonal runs that dragged centre-back out of position, opening lanes for midfield runners and creating space for Seaman and Paul Onuachu to attack. That movement doesn't always show up on highlight reel, but is devastating for defensive structure. We're starting to understand when to stay wide, when to come inside, and that's the evaluation we have been waiting for. Another underrated aspect is defensive contribution. He tracked back, pressed intelligently, and helped us stay compact in transition. That allowed the team to press high without being exposed when possession was lost. Wingers who work defensively makes the entire system more aggressive and more secure. What this means for Nigeria: if Chukwueze maintains this level, we gain more than just a dangerous winger. We get an attacker who thrives in isolated matchup and makes the entire attack function better. Whether deployed as an inverted winger or as a part of a fluid front three, it gives us tactical versatility without sacrificing balance. Right now, Chukwueze isn't just playing well, he's cooking, and the attack is better because of it. And with that said, that's the end of the video, my friends. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. It will be.